Meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call roll?
Commissioner Osmann,
Mr. Osman's called in. His wife is in surgery. He may be able to hear.
Commissioner Sangster,
Here.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Eustace,
Here.
Commissioner Claremont,
Here.
Commissioner Wallace,
Here.
Commissioner Warfield.
Here. 6-0 and 1 absent. Please stand for the invocation. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, guide us today as we discuss the affairs of the citizens of Cheboygan County. Help us to make wise decisions on their behalf for the good of all. This we pray in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. If that's pretty. One addition to the agenda. Down on 10H, the Chateau of Black Mountain invoice approval. It's on your desk. That'll go under 10H. How about a motion to approve the agenda? I'll make that motion. Thank you, Dave. Support? I'll support. Thank you. That moved and supported. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Sangster,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Eustace,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
Commissioner Warfield.
Yes.
Commissioner Claremont.
Yes. Thank you. Approve 6-0 and 1 absent. Citizens' comment, number 5 on the agenda. If you want to address the board, please approach the podium and state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Being none, let's move on to item 6, scheduled visitors. Northeast Michigan Works Employer of the Year Award, Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, commissioners. I have with me today Jeremiah. If you come up, Jeremiah, and Lieutenant and Corporal Melgrim from the jail. So Jeremiah is our representative from Northeast Michigan Works. This is a program that was put in place a few years ago that we've expanded upon. And Ryan's going to talk a little bit about it and explain how we were selected and how we won the award. So I'll turn it over to Jeremiah.
Right, so I'm Jeremiah Johnson. I work in the apprenticeships as the apprenticeship specialist at Michigan Works in Northeast Michigan. My role is to connect employers with the DOL and establish an apprenticeship program to help upskill or train new employees. And through those employers and providing those new employees with the academy in the corrections field or the police officers academy if you're a police officer, and the Cheboygan County Sheriff's is great to help them pay for their academy either way, so the employees aren't having to pay out of pocket for these courses and whatnot, as well as help train them in their fields through a registered apprenticeship, which outlines on-the-job training of the Department of Labor. So they are getting an employee that's certified from the Department of Labor of being skilled in their workforce. And since doing so, Brenda has been working with me to establish new apprentices in the Corrections Academy, through the Corrections Academy, and as an employee, we have completed multiple different apprentices. And this past year, Brenda has been amazing to work with. She has been very open communication with me about anything and anything she needs. And they're continuing to build on this program, and Michigan Works has just been, what's the word I'm looking for, has been grateful to have this partnership with Cheboygan County. And we're excited about the future of continuing to grow you guys' their workforce. So we felt like it was important to recognize them as Employer of the Year for their outstanding support with the Michigan Work Service System. And we full knowing that we have trust that their apprenticeship program will continue to grow, and they will be recognized in the future for any of the apprentices that are finishing up. They all receive their certificates from the Department of Labor as being a certified apprentice through the Department of Labor. Yeah, I I can't say enough good stuff about working with Cheboygan County Sheriff, and our partnership will be ever growing. So this is the little trophy that we would like to award Sheboygan Sheriff and over to Lieutenant Duckworth for her outstanding achievement with the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I want to add real quick. I know that Commissioner Wallace, so I believe you sit on the board, correct? So you were aware of this award before I was, I think. And we had to ask you to keep it quiet because they didn't want us to present it yet. But so we went down to Kalamazoo, Brenda and I and Michelle, to receive the award from Michigan Works, and it was really quite a big deal. There was 350 people there probably from all over Michigan, and every year the all the different northeast, or we're northeast, all the different Michigan Works consortiums, or I don't want to say agencies, but different geographical areas all put an employer of the year in for the award. And like Brenda went up against like Kokosing and Riva and Steelcase from downstate, and Ford and Chevrolet and all that. And out of the whole state was selected because of the work that she's done with Michigan Works, and because of the unique collaboration where we have two governmental agencies working together, which typically that doesn't happen, right? We're butting heads all the time. Because of all them different factors is the reason she was selected. I know she's got a few things she wants to say, so I'll turn it over to her. But I just wanted to double tap on what Jeremiah said about the significance of this award, and it really is a big deal for her to achieve this and win with the help of all the correction staff. So thank you. Amen.
Good morning, and thank you, Michigan Works, for this honor. I value our community partnership. This apprenticeship program would not be what it is today without the help of apprenticeship specialist Jeremiah Johnson. Thank you, Jeremiah. Jeremiah dedicated his time and knowledge into helping us build a successful program over the last few years. I can't say enough good things about his work ethic. I would also like to thank my staff, because no successful person has ever gotten there by themselves. My staff is committed to the sheriff's office and building the most successful team we can. Last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank Sheriff Ross. He has earned my respect over the years, being so supportive of correction. Sheriff Ross has always been open to new ideas we have had to create a better jail that not only keeps everyone safe, but a jail that's committed to helping inmates be more successful upon their release. Sheriff Ross is big on educating staff as well as empowering them to reach their potential. He never micromanages or takes credit for his employees' successes, and he has had such a positive impact on corrections staff. And I believe that under his leadership, more great acknowledgments like this are sure to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Well, it's Cheboygan County. Thanks, guys. You don't have to hang around. Thank you. Good work, Brad. Charlie, good to see you. Next on the agenda is Cheboygan Life Support Services 24 annual report. Mike English. How are you, Mike?
Good. Thank you, commissioners, for inviting me out. I guess today. Keep me out of the office a little bit. So, your ambulance for 2024. As some of you know or may not know, it's not just Sheboygan. We're running rigs in Rogers City. We're running rigs in Mackinac County up in St. Ignace and Mackinac. So, with this report, I tried to get away from the spreadsheet stuff that you guys have seen in the past. So, for 24, right around 8,000 runs. We did 7,907 with 1,942 of them out of the Cheboygan station and 1,620 of them out of the Union River station. Big key here is we look at total runs and then billable runs, which is that next, that bottom graph. So of that 7,900 runs, we're only allowed to bill for 5,900. And that's something that you may get a little response back from some of your constituents. We're trying to fix that gap this year. Me and my assistant director Randa went to a billing conference downstate with all the EMS agencies, and they're really starting to bill for these non-transporting runs. So how we've been doing that is a little bit of staff education to kind of get them into billing light, so they can collect that billing information. But with the millage base, we've been billing those patients' insurance, and up until July is when we started this program, we were writing those runs off anyways. So if insurance pays on that run, we take what insurance will give us. If we don't, we go back to writing it off. So with that, just since July, we have added additional 35 that are ALS. So the paramedic had to do something, whether it was start an IV, hook up the cardiac monitor, maybe push a medication to like a diabetic or something like that.
That's advanced electrical.
And then they signed off. And 86, this is just in the Cheboygan Indian River stations, for that basic life support. So like one of our EMTs that can't do that advanced stuff, they come in, maybe someone had fallen, help them up, give them a full assessment, look for any injuries and kind of push them there. From there, we're actually getting billed on most of them. The only one that we're seeing that really won't pay has been Medicaid so far. Even the Medicare and the Medicare Plus plans are paying pretty well on that. So we're hoping to recoup some of that lost revenue from that 25% of our runs that we're getting off. If you go to that next page, it'll show you guys our total run types. So that's kind of across the board, all 5 substations. ALS emergencies, so we did that cardiac monitor, we started an IV. Those were 2,800 runs. The ALS TX, or the transports, those are interfacility runs, hospital to hospital. So 1,000 of them. Fair share from here in Cheboygan over to Petoskey, and then a fair share as well from Petoskey to downstate hospitals for more. Those critical care runs, so they're 156. Those are runs where they're interfacility transfers, but we're doing something above what we're normally trained to do. We're taking a hospital medication. We've got ventilators. We've got a bunch of other services the hospital usually does that we've taken some special training to be able to do. So that's kind of the sickest of the sick that we're moving downstate for treatment. BLS, so we don't have to do any of the ALS stuff. 1,000 runs. Those BLS transports, 853. A lot of them are probably actually from Petoskey coming back to Metalodge or the AFC homes in the area. Occasionally we run into some the psychiatric on that side of things too. The no transports, so 1,700 runs, and then canceled runs, 186. Somebody passing by in the expressway calls us. Law beats us there. We don't need an ambulance. We get canceled, stuff like that. And then intercepts, we have 52 of them. Those are almost all exclusively to our St. Ignace station. So on an intercept, one of our ambulance goes out with the paramedic and meets a smaller rural like BLS ambulance. So up there, it tends to be our trucks going out, and we run in back up Clark Township, coming from the Lacey area down to St. Ignace Hospital. You can see there below that, our ambulances have transported 198,526 miles. That is our mileage when we have a patient in the ambulance. So in all reality, we can probably double that. We got to get back from wherever we came from before we get there. And then if you look on that next page, it'll show our breakdown for in-county specifically, with Cheboygan running 2,926 runs, and Indian River running the 1,620. Just for comparison, at this time right now, Cheboygan has ran 1,942, and Indian River is at 1,208. Other than that, things are going good. My biggest battle so far has been trying to get ambulances. Commissioner Osmond can definitely speak to that. we've been to the point where we've had like 2 years now. We haven't been able to get the remounts that we normally do. Um, it's forced us to look at a couple different options. We're getting, you'll see, we're kind of going back in time. Some of you that have been around probably saw them back in the day when we had the actual van style ambulances. We've got one of them coming just for our transfer truck, trying to be a little more efficient running down state. And then I just got approval from the board into last week. We're going to get another pickup truck style, like you might see the big one in Indian River. So we'll have a 4-wheel drive ambulance in each station now.
Mike, could you explain the relationship between all these others and Cheboygan County?
The relationship between us and the others, in a lot of ways, we're Kelly Services that does EMS billing. So St. Ignace and Rogers area, and it'd be actually the city council of Mackinac Island, all have their own formed board that help make decisions, and then they contract with us to provide basically the insurance, the liability, the staffing, and the billing services for their agencies. And we do that. If they gain money, we pay it back to them. If they owe us money, we get recouped from them individual boards. So it's not costing our taxpayers anything. And it really helps our billers because it keeps them a little busier, and I'll kill them for that. But practicing and getting billed on some other stuff too. Like interception. Our billers wouldn't know how to do an interception if it wasn't for St. Ignace, to be honest with you. We used to do them way back when with Onaway, and Onaway is pretty much all ALS now.
Everybody understand that they're doing management of all these other ambulance services stuff.
Any other questions, you guys?
Just one, Mike, how many trucks do you have manned at any given time?
We have a total of 8 ambulances, and our daily staffing is 4. Two in Cheboygan and 2 in Indian River, and then daytime staffing like Monday through Thursday. I'm in Cheboygan, and then Randa, the assistant director of head biller, is a basic. So we kind of make that half an ambulance. We can roll out a 5th one when you get. With the purchases that have been approved, we'll add our 9th one. That new transfer truck will be here around Halloween. And then this new 4-wheel drive one, I'm hoping for an April one. And that'll bring us up to 10 total. For comparison, Emmett County's running 9 right now, or has 9 trucks and is staffing about 3.
Last couple of weeks I've been ordering none, but let's order McLaren a lot lately. I often see 2 life support trucks there.
Usually one coming and going.
They're
They've we kind of had a little bit of a lull at the beginning of this month, but they've picked up in the last week or so. Listen.
good service. Any questions for Mike Hinckley? Hope you don't have any fires while you're doing ambulance.
So far we've been good. So thank you guys. My office email, I'm always there. I'll gladly take any calls and questions.
Good seeing you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
We have the airport annual report now, and it's 6C. That's page 6 on your end. That's where. Switch it over. Well, you can use. Try here.
Morning, Commissioners. Rod Adams, I'm third board chairman. I'd like to thank the board of commissioners, Beth Lawson, for the continued support of the airport, and special thanks to Mike Newman and Thomas Eustace for attending the meetings. Cheboygan Airport is an important asset not only to the county. The FAA, M.Aero, and M.Aero has classified it as an essential airport. Because of its locations, it serves as air ambulance for Cheboygan Hospital and Surrounding Medical. We have the winter service for Pablo, which includes medical supplies, food, mail, passengers to the island. And we had a presentation at Cheboygan Airport from M.Aero, and it stated the economic impact of the airport for local and state is in the millions of dollars. So it's a lot of money. We also, we are stocked with fuel passenger, uh, for Mackinac Island, Upper Peninsula, and that's all used by, net jets, business and private aircraft. We even have a couple times this summer, we have a visitor fly from Stanley from Liverpool, England, comes into Cheboygan Airport. So that 4,000 foot runway reached the world. I'm just looking back at last year's comments here on the project improvements that we completed, with the standing operator procedure manual, employee handbooks, revised hangar agreements, and airport bylaws. And the, right now, the most costly burden that we have has been, tree clearing. And we just finished, we rented equipment and we spent a month, and that's just recently. We got future goals. Just, we need, a little more security, to the airport that drives back to the hangars. We've had a few instances there. Driveway and parking asphalt area, which maybe we'll get a grant for that, some help for that. Chris Bauer, is working on that there, and there's gonna be follow up here, some, more technical stuff from Mike Jermaine at Airport Manager. And another future goal is to be the airport terminal, which is 50 years old, and when it's ready for renovation and replacements. So anyway, if any questions for me, we got follow up, airport manager Mark Germain, and then put on as a presentation. Anyway, from, Northern Lights Economic Alliance, Chris Bauer, has presentation every night. So are there any questions for the board chair?
No, keep up the good work.
The last 2.5 years have been a handful at the airport. We're getting caught up, and the other than the south end of the far south runway, there's a few trees that need to come down there. We're being fully compliant with, MDOT, and we're for the approach clearance of the trees, and we're getting caught there. MDOT changed the way they come out and check the airports. They used to use like a sextant, and the person would literally stand on the threshold, use a bubble through a handheld sextant, and any trees they would mark. Now they went to drones. And it's like the spec went down 50 feet. The drones are catching a lot of catching a lot of airports. They got trees they need to remove because they're using drones to check the approaches and all the altitude requirements, from trees. So that added a little bit more, and we got that. But other than that area, we're doing well there. So it's good and exciting at the airport. There's, through 28. We've got a lot of improvements that Mike's going to talk about, and, it's been exciting. A lot of stuff's going to be done.
Great, thank you.
So, thank you. Thanks.
Good morning, Mike Jermaine, Airport Manager, Cheboygan Airport. Again, I'd like to thank the commissioners and, Jeff Lawson for the support at the airport. The airport has two runways, 10-8, which is the main runway, that's 4,000 feet long. And 17.35 is a crosswind runway, that's 1,875 feet long. 10-8 has GPS approaches. So aircraft can come in here under, instrument conditions. Pilot control lighting after dark. And airport has 3 part-time employees, 19 based aircraft, and we have 100 NOLA and Jet A. And the courtesy car, that's used quite often.
Continental Aviation is based, at the airport. They provide, major airframe and power plant repair. And they're involved right now with, Lance in the high school aviation class. And, there's 5 school districts, in that aviation class. Alanson, Harbor Springs, Petoskey, Inland Lakes, Sheboygan. And there is one student enrolled from Cheboygan High School that's in that aviation program. And Tom also does aircraft rentals. Northwoods Aviation, they're now based at the airport, and they came in last year. And they're gonna start doing charter flights to Boys Flight events on the lakes. The hangar project, thank you commissioners for funding for that. That was completed in June, and pilots are really appreciative of their airplanes are dry. And it in the summertime so far, it's kept the hangar is probably 10 to 15 degrees cooler. Our Jet A fuel has been we've been unable to sell it since October last year. Our fuel truck went down. Fuel trucks 45 years old probably, hard to find parts. And then with that going down, then our Jet A passed its shelf life. So Northwood Aviation helped us get that fuel out of there. And then we had the tank inspected and cleaned. And First Power with Northern Lakes Economic Alliance helped write a grant through aeronautics. And we were able to get a fuel trailer grant at 100%. That's going to replace the fuel trailer. And that's expected to arrive sometime October. And then regarding the fuel trailer, the county donated their L-250. Thank you for that. And we're going to use that to pull the fuel trailer. Chris Bauer is going to talk about economic land development at the airport. And again, Ron had mentioned we're a critical role to Voice Blank Island. In 24-25 projects, the airport cleared 52.18 acres of land. The automatic weather observing station was upgraded. Crack sealing and painting was completed. Completed pavement condition index of the pavements, that's been completed. And as Rod mentioned, we're working on clearing the approaches. Project started yesterday, the LED lighting project, and that's going to involve runway lights along the edge of the runway, LED position approach path indicator lights, rail lights, and then we're going to get a new beacon inside. The electrical vault's going to be upgraded, and pilot control lighting. That should be completed mid-October, and that project was $710,000. $677,000 was 90% federal, and then state and local is $29,892. Upcoming projects. Right now, the design of the reconstruction of the 800 taxi streets is under design right now. 26 is going to be the reconstruction of the pavement itself. And 27 is no project. And we're talking with aeronautics right now on 10-8 to rehabilitate 10-8, and then shifting the, I guess, be the west end of 10-8 to the east end. We're going to keep 4,000 feet, and it's about 385 feet. And to do that is to eliminate the Inverness Trail penetration coming into 10, which would be
coming into the east. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, it's, you know, in the plans, anything to discuss with you or not. As far as events, trying to work with, Skydive Charlevoix to do tandem jumps on the airport, so if anybody's interested in tandem jumps, let me know. And then we're looking at the possibility of a fly-in golf event and the possibility of a fall fly. Any questions?
Page Road is still a problem?
The paved road coming in?
Page,
No,
on the east end.
Slade.
Oh, Slate, not Page, sorry.
No,
I'm in the wrong area.
you know, yeah, Slade Road's not gonna be the problem is Inverness Trail coming through. So we're gonna take 385 feet, move it over towards Slade Road, and then that drops off. So the approach, we should be okay.
Thank you.
Yes, good. My turn. Good morning, everybody. I've been working with, going to attending airport meetings for the better part of a year now. Been working with them to identify potential revenue sources, other revenue sources. You know, Mike mentioned a couple of events that they're planning. Because as you know, maintaining and operating airports, the list never ends, and it never gets cheaper. And so, trying to find different alternatives for revenue sources has been a priority for us. And, yep, slide 2, thank you. We began this discussion just looking for opportunity, right? So, and at the same time, I was working on a project with NEMCOG, that LEA partnering to do a strategic site readiness program and identifying properties that we could use for manufacturing development, industrial development. Basically, where can we create an area where we can develop 12-month family sustaining child? That's the goal. So, in looking through the entire county, there aren't a lot of spots left that's already zoned industrial ready to go, except for the airport. Airport is 100%, well, I shouldn't say 100%, 95% zoned industrial. And so we started looking at different areas where it might make sense to open up for sale or lease. And I think the airport is looking at leasing only land. And I think that's typical of airports. And we're actually starting to see this around a couple spots in Michigan that are doing something similar. I know a place in Ohio that is also doing something similar. You already have basically another node, transportation that can help potentially another business, right? As the old saying goes, right? You pave a mile of road to go a mile, you pave a mile of runway, you can go anywhere. So I think that's a decent attractor. So with again, with Doug Baum, we began looking at different concepts. So next slide, please. The largest one, and by the way, this is the digital equivalent of me drawing with crayons. So apologize for it's a little crude. It's going to look a lot different because there are setbacks and radiuses around our airport equipment that need to be accounted for when we're looking at stuff like this. So this one is the largest site. It's right off Levering. Levering's at the bottom of the page for those not familiar with this area. And you can see off on the left side of that picture, those are the airport hangars. And the longest runway we have running left to right, that's 10 and 2.8 that Mike referenced earlier. So the attractive, what makes this site really attractive is it's flat, clear for the most part. And I think this will be a very competitive site once we can get clearance from the FAA, which I'll get into at the end. So next slide, please. This site is right by the terminal. So again, we're on Levering Road. That's the airport drive going to the north, and the terminal right in the center of the picture. This is going to look a lot different too, because if you're familiar with the site, you know the rotating beacon for the airport is almost right in the middle of that. So, and there's also a lot more development area possible to the north. So this might look quite a bit different once the engineer starts plotting radiuses and setbacks and such, and, we might have 10 acres, we might have a little less, but again, it's flat, and it's got access. Next slide, please. This site is a bit different since it's not on Levering Road. This is on LaHaye. So Levering Road, for those not familiar with the area, right at the top of the screen there, and LaHaye's down at the bottom. So this was bought, it is owned by the airport for, again, the approach to one-way 35, and it is entirely wooded. And the height restrictions are not as severe here, but you have to clear it to develop it. So it's not probably not out of it's not on Levering, but it's a 40-acre site. Yeah, it has potential. So we identified this as a potential area as well. And again, it's got existing industrial uses already on that street, so it wouldn't be out of place at all. Next slide, please. And this is the last site we looked at. It's about 12 acres. I don't think it's going to be very competitive. I don't think we're going to do anything with it. It's just an odd shaped site. And the height restrictions, since it's close to the runway, are pretty significant. And the engineers recommended these not do this one. And so we may bypass this one altogether. But these are probably the most of the 4 areas that probably would have the most opportunity, but this one of the 4 the least. Next slide, please. So our next steps, what we have to do is work with the airport's engineer, and they have to adjust the airport layout plan. We could do a development on that site now, but it has to be an aeronautical related use. So it significantly reduces your opportunity to bring a potential tenant in there and create jobs. So the airport layout plan is going to draw appropriate sizes of those sites, taking into account radius and height restrictions, and then also submitting that to the FAA and change the language designation so there's not that aeronautical only restriction. And then we begin planning market and looking at items like infrastructure needs and the like. And special thanks to the airport authority and staff for taking a look at this, going a little bit outside the box. This is not something we've done before. And of course, county commissioners, you have supported the airport, especially most recently with that, the truck donation for the fuel trailer. And then Doug Baum from NEMCOG. Without NEMCOG, it would have been very challenging to do this project just because the fees that were required to do the airport plan update, $5,000, and that's coming from NEMCOG and their SSRP program. So special thanks to them for funding. And that's it. Any questions?
Real quick, what's the length of the east-west run? 4,000 feet. Just under 5, you can get a pretty big plane in there. Yeah, on slide 4, where you see the east-west runway, you probably got a little bit lost on the reason they wanted to move part of that runway from one end to the other end. You'll see the north-south was at Inverness.
Yeah.
Okay, as you come across the runway to land on 10 to the east, the FAA now says that the aircraft are too low to the road. And that's why we have a stipulation in our instrument charts that there's no night landings that direction on an instrument approach. You have to come in the other way. And that because of that road, they made the change where the end of the runway is. So now we're going to see if we can move that section, go back to the original threshold, and move that down to the other end to maintain our 4,000 feet. That's interesting. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
Any questions for the airport while they're here?
What are the height restrictions on, like, for example, the 67-acre piece close to the runway? What is the height restrictions for a building? I'm on that.
I believe it's stepped. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I think closest to the runway is like 60 feet, which is still pretty tall. But there's going to be some setbacks that I don't have the details on your BS engineers. Like I said, that drawing is gonna look a lot. And I know there's an antenna up on that picture on the left-hand corner, left corner. There's an antenna that's being cut into the fur radius, make sure that there's no interference with that radio like that. I think it's a loss antenna. That's for their air, for weather.
Right away, like they all come on the mic, where you can see.
Right.
Yeah. That's cool.
The southernmost property, the 40 acres, the height restriction's a lot higher. I believe it was 200 some feet. So I don't think it's gonna really impact us. That was just from discussion with the engineer. But again, he's gonna have to go back and look at the specifics and make sure that it's your process. I don't think it's gonna impact any development out that we have any 5-6 story buildings we have reclining and building down there.
I have one question, Mr. Chairman, if I may approve. So you are trying a new office in engineering firm?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, John Stewart leading us, he's our lead engineer.
Good. Very good to have. Anything else? Thank you, Airport.
Thank you. Thank you.
And 911 with it.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is MacArthur Griffiths. I am the Executive Director for Cheboygan and Emmett County's 911 Central Dispatch Authority. As part of our new budgeting process for CCE 911, we're required to present to the 3 county boards of commissioners any projects costing more than $100,000. This project meets that requirement. This project was handed to me as a shovel-ready project and put into our critical infrastructure plan. So it's in regards to Beaver Island. And Beaver Island faces a critical gap in public safety communications and documented incidents. First responders on the west side of the island have had little to no radio coverage, leaving them unable to coordinate with Incident Command or CCE 911 Central Dispatch. Our solution is a $5.4 million investment into 2 800 megahertz radio tower sites designed by Motorola and fully integrated in the Michigan Public Safety Communications System. This will close the coverage gaps and deliver CJIS compliant encrypted communications and provide secure statewide interoperability for police, fire, EMS, and other partners. This project represents a once-in-a-generation commitment to the responders' safety and community protection. With your support, Beaver Island will no longer be a blind spot and fully connected with the Michigan's critical network as you consider our complex project. And the only thing I'd like to highlight and review to make sure we're clear on this, because that is a lot of documentation if you actually run all the Motorola engineering stuff. I want to make sure you pay attention. The project was presented originally to me for $5.414,800, $5,414,800. And that was just the radio tower project. Motorola has offered to hold that price and include $796,451 worth of law enforcement encryption flashes for our current portables and mobiles, and then $22,425 for our dispatch console upgrading encryption to the AES source of operation field licenses. So within that, it's a total savings of $818,876. What research I was able to obtain through Motorola, because before I got here, approximately 5 or so years ago, you guys went together and you purchased all new law enforcement radios at the same time, which I commend you for that. I think that is extremely a best practices thing that you do. But at this time, it looks like you have about 5 more years of life, at least in your current police radios. So I can't say you're in an urgent need to replace them. And if you've read or heard any of the encryption talk, the state police and FBI are requiring us to go to the highest level of encryption at this point. But there is no actual, you must be at that level by this date. So again, with that, there's no actual requirement to do that, but this particular one will flash our existing radios update their programming and allow them to be compliant with that future mandate. Should you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them or get you the answers to your questions following the meeting. No, generally on the projects itself, was there any discussion on other alternatives for the 5 million project? I don't have any documentation that supports that other alternatives were actually explored. My understanding is this was a known gap a long time when we started the project. A couple of people have approached me about certain types of technology that might be optional. I don't have any documentation for that. And when you look at, they've asked for the coverage area. I've been provided a map of the 3 counties from Motorola. It does show coverage gaps in all 3 counties. Charlevoix County has presented this part as part of our overall plan, and it does definitely address Beaver Island to improve its communications. And there are coverage gaps both in Emmett and Cheboygan counties at this time, which this project in and of itself at this point does not address.
Years ago, well, ever since inception, the Charlevoix County's been a problem. If it wasn't Beaver Island, it was stuff along the shore of Lake Michigan.
Yeah, I was told you guys made cooperative agreement to improve something along that shorelines that also improved downtown Charlevoix.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get up to speed.
hours here and there.
Yep, hours here and there, and they're always going to be needed. So
That's a big chunk for us to bite off here for Cheboygan County, I'm sure of that. So I think we'd probably be interested in some kind of more proposal and bid process. And I'm not so sure that the Cheboygan County wants to fund all of Charlevoix's problem to that degree. And so that's kind of where we're at. The budget tonight.
Good to care so that all our board members are on the same page with this, that exactly what they want to do is take this over $5 million project and divide it up amongst the 3 counties to pay a share of that will benefit 1 county.
to that effect, I agree with you. It appears that way, and that's the way when it was presented first. It is. I do want to state that I was able to get and Walt's minimally. Because my first question in any project, especially when it's a multi-jurisdiction coverage project, is obviously what's in it for me, right? That's what every person who's being asked to pay a penny is. And what I was able to get was the flash encryption worth about 796, and I needed it to dispatch for it would be a total savings of 818,000 at this point. But by no means is it a replacement of all radios, which again, that will be in about probably 5 years, even 3 to 5 years. I'd be recommending that we look at that. And that hasn't been explored or put into any type of longer plan. Like I said, this was just handled to me, but Emmett County asked me to do some further research on items like that, and be happy to share whatever our research have done with you guys if you're not comfortable at this time.
You should just touch on the Hexagon project.
Sure.
The total cost of that is checking your share.
I don't have the exact cost. It's been described as a $7 million project. At this point, I'm able to keep it within what the contract's parameters have been signed, and actually, we've been able to, through actual implementation, reduce a little bit of the project costs, which right now are just being held in credit to try and make sure we meet all 3 counties' needs on the project itself. So far, we've had a change order that actually reduced the cost of the project by about $29,000, and that was due to the fact that a GIS mapping part that was thought to be optional actually was not optional. So we were able to, through our consultant, negotiate that Hexagon, give us that amount off of the contract, and that's there. Our current recent help that we just settled in the contract was signed, and it talks about a ticket and accident rating system. And what was listed on there is probably in reference to the example given in the RFP, to the best of my guessing at this point. But what was listed does not actually exist, so we had to come up with an alternative. And I will tell you, the working group at this point that is provided from all 3 counties is exceptional. And it's no doubt at all with the sheriff's department and Brenda, who is up here, who's been instrumental in helping us down in the basement as we navigate this project. We're trying to make sure we come up with it. They came up with a proposed solution, the no-cost accident rating, particular add-on or change order, so that'll be a no-cost part. And then there is a cost apart to the actual ticket writing for electronic tickets. I understand that Cheboygan is the leader in electronic tickets. I don't think the other two counties have that. And that saves significant money with the courts and its run. Try and keep the project on track to have that. There's been some thoughts that in a previous project that failed, all of the equipment was going to be provided for the electronic ticketing in the contract that's signed on the hexagon. That is not the case. I did have a informed discussion with the law enforcement administrators explaining the costs going forward for the ticketing, what that would cost. They all stated they understood it, and many of them are planning for the future to be able to pay that cost. I've heard some requests to make sure it's paid for because of the way it was budgeted for in a previous project, and at this point, that's not going to be the same on the Hexagon project. It's going smooth. I do not expect it to go live when it was predicted in February. I'd like to see it go live by the end of next year. That's strictly to the schedule that was laid out, included like a full week of training for all the police officers and stuff during November 15th. And there's not a lot of people here around November 15th.
I guess one of my points being that, when we went to the Hexagon, or when we were discussing that, Charlevoix was adamantly opposed to the Hexagon project, $7 million. But now they're coming back to us and wanting us to divvy up a $5 million project to benefit only Charlevoix.
Yep, they have, it's been explained in perspective that somehow the Emmett County depths would be enhanced to be able to go over and provide radio coverage in large exercises and stuff they've done. I did not hear Cheboygan law enforcement mention anything that they've done in the past, though I'm not familiar. I'm still trying to get step on it.
Thank you for that.
Sure, from this project, 5.4, it's my understanding that it's going to benefit about 600 full-time residents. Shouldn't say full-time, part-time residents on Beaver Island. And I can tell you from experience that this county needs some help with coverage also. And so, I mean, I understand the roughly $800,000 savings, but if you take 800,000 and divide it by the three counties and the percentages, that's a lot cheaper than the $1.66 million project benefit, roughly 600 residents. If we have more than that residents in this county that could benefit by upgrading the systems here in this county.
So if I could also summarize what I'm understanding you say, sir, is the fact that you kind of like to see what improves in radio coverage in a project of this scope and nature for Cheboygan County. Is that fair to say? Yep.
Exactly.
And I do know there's some other demographics that the sheriff from Charlevoix said beside the 600, because I said that would be one of the things, 5.4 million to 600. And he mentioned a lot of the maritime traffic and big, large visitor stuff and other events that go on. So there is a lot more demographics that it's not just 600 people, whatever else. It is also, there's been apparently some officers injured in certain particular fights and stuff on the island type stuff, and EMS and fire would benefit by it too. So I don't want to diminish what they're saying, but 100% addressing maybe a whole radio project might be more entertained by the board if that's your wish to have it researched. And I'd be happy to do that. The simplest to work back with Administrator Lawson if that's what the board wishes.
That's my point, Mac, is that I think we need to look at other alternatives. Issues that each county has.
It's a miracle that this system is worked as long as it has, cooperating between three counties. I believe it's a miracle because of the political differences between the three counties. It's amazing. I know when we started this, I was present for it, and there was a lot of banging on the table in person, and a lot of arguing going on, political arguing, and it still goes on for some reason.
Still was all good break and try calling portfolio. It certainly has benefited this town.
Yes.
I do hope to make a better return on your investment in my position, so please let me know if I'm not meeting expectations.
No, I think you do.
So,
It's just this project with the cost benefit, I it's so hard.
I have a question for Jeff more than anybody. If we were to approve this project and agree to contribute $1.66 million towards primary. Where would that money come from? We have to levy a millage on Cheboygan County taxpayers to raise that money?
No, I,
How
well,
would we?
for capital, each year for county budget cycle rate. So, we have a capital improvement plan, that goes to the planning commission for review and comes to the board. For this new approach, we weren't, looking at inserting capital improvement plan for CC 911 necessarily in our, capital improvement schedule, but the review of projects, above and beyond the reports of what other alternatives we would have. This has to be inserted into our review of capital projects moving forward. So we have a list of general capital improvements for the county that are well into $4 or $5 million range itself, which are general fund. There are certain villages attached to certain buildings, like the senior centers, that go strictly for those facilities. We have a 911 village on our capital list. We're preparing for that radio upgrade. We're looking at the fourth to fifth year. We purchase radios within the county for the units for upgrades or for law enforcement primarily, but we'll look at the other units as they come up also. So that's our primary capital. Next item on the capital list for 911 attached to our millage. The other upgrades, if the center has to have console upgrades, or if there's other projects in the budget that are smaller, we can use those funds for that. But this, I wouldn't recommend using millage that's raised in Cheboygan County for 911 or a project outside the county. We'll have to look at alternatives, and if we pay a portion of that, communities have, in our agreements, we have paid for projects, for instance, in the city of Charlotte, where there's an upgraded tower. The price of that project was much lower. Don't quote me exactly off the top of my head, but we may have paid $300,000 or $400,000, and in return, Charlotte County has paid in the past for tower upgrades in Cheboygan County, a similar amount. But the schedule that we're looking at here and total project costs, this is one of the most expensive tower projects for CCE for a very specific area. We also have needs in the county for coverage, and so this is going to be integrated into our review system. And so we're just now seeing this for the first time as far as inserted in our process of review, and we'll analyze that and have a recommendation for the board in the budget process and how we'll tackle this moving forward. But kind of gives a snapshot right now of where we're at and look at this.
Enough information there, man.
I'll reach back to Administrator Lawson to make sure we answer any more questions that you have, if we can go that route. And
Excellent source.
Yep, and I appreciate you talking about planning that far out in advance, especially for us who's together with you, but also outside of your county too. So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming over.
Yep.
Before we take a break, we're down to 6P, the Veterans Administration 2024 Annual Report.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Cluhan with the Veterans Department of Fairfield County. I'm going to touch on the highlights from the annual supposed to make you guys on it. So, in our office, each day requires us to multitask and role switch, going from crisis management and grief support to VA healthcare enrollment, financial assistance, or training development. We also manage transportation logistics for veterans attending VA medical appointments, and we help veterans navigate the electronic resources which enhance their access to appointments, prescriptions, and other VA resources. Beyond the individual assistance that we offer, we foster community and camaraderie through the various veteran events that we put on each year. It's our mission to make a positive impact on veterans and families and with the work that we do. Last year, we were managing about 140 claims per day, pending average there. Those were all claims that we had filed for VA benefits. Our office was also operating at a reduced staff capacity for 4 months of last year. We were featured in the 2024 edition of the Cheboygan Today. And that did bring in some people, a lot of veterans that didn't even know our office existed. So that was for us. We also put out a bi-monthly newsletter. We've been able to increase that distribution to over 600 veterans. And we did a few events. We did a veteran benefit fair in March of last year, a veteran spring social in April, and a veteran appreciation event in September. And then we do our monthly Veterans Coffee Hour. That's the 4th Wednesday of each month. We were able to do some training with the VA clinic in Indian River, where we helped train them in some of the things that we do and how their services can help our veterans with the claims that we file. And then they trained us on some of the stuff that they do that we can do to help them. We also gave out 13 Hometown Hero Awards last year. Those are awards to local veterans that go above and beyond the industry. And we relocated the main Memorial Day ceremony to the Veterans Memorial Park, which we felt was a more appropriate location for those ceremonies to honor those that made the ultimate sacrifice here in the community. For this year, our main goals were we wanted to continue with the events. We did a spring social back in April of this year, and then we have our Veteran Appreciation event, which is actually scheduled for tomorrow. We're at the fairgrounds. And then one of the big things that we struggle with is managing the increasing flow of veterans that we're dealing with every day without sacrificing the quality of service. So we work on that daily to make sure that everyone is getting the service that they deserve and need. So this is the point where I normally give you my numbers and my data. However, the VA has not released that data last year yet. 4 or 5 months behind. So I'll go over what I do have. So for 2023, the VA benefits brought in $32,904 to our county veterans. Those benefits were paid out to 2,237 veterans in our county, which is about 8.6% of our total population. So that puts us at the second highest veteran per capita in our area with our surrounding counties. I don't have the numbers for 2024 yet. I'll get them to you guys as soon as I do. I'm hoping they come soon. But the benefits that they do bring in, those benefits contribute to the stability in the local economy. They provide veterans with additional financial resources. Those benefits stimulate demand for goods and services, support local businesses, and create jobs. These benefits also allow veterans to secure stable housing and have access to affordable or no-cost health care. Additionally, educational benefits lead to a more skilled workforce, which can increase the progress and productivity within the community. In our office, we had a total of 5,998 interactions with veterans last year. And that's a combination from our scheduled appointments, our walk-ins, incoming phone call correspondence. So if you factor in the holidays and our mandatory training dates, we were open a total of 241 days last year. So that equates to about 25 veteran interactions per workday. So we stay busy and we try to manage that flow without sacrificing the quality. And on top of all that, we had our events last year. At our veteran benefit fair, we had 36 vendors there providing local resources for veterans, and we had 232 veterans that attended. We did the spring social last year. It was the first year we did it. We had 100 veterans in attendance. And then our veteran appreciation event over at the fairgrounds, we had 250 veterans there. We gave out 151 pairs of free shoes and 35 door prize packages, all of which were donated by the local community. And then our coffee hour It's the fourth Wednesday each month. We were averaging about 40 veterans a month in the winter months and about 51 in the summer months. So that's grown a lot. We had to actually move to a bigger location. We're at the VFW post to be able to do that. So we're over at Great Lakes now. We had 97 new veterans that came into our office last year to file for benefits. Some of those didn't know we existed. They heard about us from a friend or from the Cheboygan Today. So we were able to make contact with them, get them in, file for benefits, make sure that they're getting the resources that they deserve. As far as we know, we had 57 of our county veterans pass away last year. So we try to reach out to spouses, work at funeral, but any death benefits and survival benefits that are eligible. So we had filed a total of 368 claims for VA benefits last year, and we had out of those claims that came back with decisions last year, we had 81.5% of those were approved, with the courts granted to our veterans. 18.5% of those were denied. Many of those claims we went on to appeal. Some of them are still pending decisions. 23 of the veterans last year got awarded 100% from total rating, which opens up some additional ancillary benefits both from the federal government and the state. We did see a decrease in the number of compensation claims that we filed last year. That was expected. We had a surge of claims from when the PACT Act was passed in 2022. So we were expecting that to steadily decline back to a normal level. So we're seeing that happen. One of the other services that we provide in our office is emergency assistance for veterans that are having emergency situations. We have 3 different funds that we can use. We have the Veterans Assistance Fund, which is funded solely by donation. Last year, we had a total of 5 applications with that fund. All 5 of them were approved with a payout of $1,977. The Soldiers Relief Fund is funded by the county. We had 2 applications last year. One of them was approved, paying a total of $750 in that grant. And then we have the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund. It is funded by the state. We had 9 applications last year. 5 of them were approved with a payout of $16,932. So all in all, we were able to grant $19,659 in emergency assistance. And then we also have our DAV transportation program where we can assist veterans getting to their VA appointments and their community care appointments first and out. We have last year we had 9 drivers. They're all volunteers. So without those volunteer drivers, we would not be able to run this program. So we are incredibly grateful for them. We gave 113 veterans rides last year. That was a 37% increase over the previous year and a 60% increase from 2022. So we're seeing a lot of need for that program, and I'm glad that we're able to provide it. With that being said, we're always looking for volunteer drivers. So if anyone's interested, they can come talk to us in our office. The vehicle that we use, the VA and the DAV provide all of the maintenance and fuel costs, so that's at no cost to our county. We did pay a portion of the vehicle cost a couple years ago, and then they covered all of the other expenses. That's all I've got. I did include some pictures of our 13 Hometown Hero recipients from last year. That's 12 Hometown Heroes of the month and 1 Hometown Hero. And then I've got some pictures of our various events for last year, and I wanted to open it up to any questions.
Questions? Good. Question. So, what does the Veterans Office cost you? What is the annual budget for that?
You should ask.
That's good.
No idea.
Okay, so
I'm gonna give this, it's probably around 100,000 in the state. It's a little more than that. And the return on investment for 2023 was 32.9 million coming into this county. I know a few of you are business owners and that you had that kind of return on investment for your business. And I just can't say enough about Sarah and what she's done. I think she's in my 35, now 37 years in this county. We've been through 7 different, she just superb. And veteran support she has. And a couple of the stats I want to point out when we look to this office is the national average for veterans is about 1%. But 1% of the population of the United States raises their hand and serves this country. In this county, 8.6%. And I mean, that is a known statistic that rural America defends America. And, so 8.6%, I think we need to take care of. The 5,098 veteran walk-ins, 25 per workday. And we're going to be working on the budgets here for 2026. And I think we need to do a deep dive into that and see if we can support this office anymore. A couple other things I want to bring up is the veteran subcommittee, which each one of those veterans are either appointed or they are appointed because they're affiliated with the VSO, a veteran service organization. And those volunteers just do a phenomenal job, and Sarah gives them direction. It's like herding cats, believe me. They do a great job. It's like herding cats. And the Veterans Park, the improvements that committee just dissolved, but Sarah once again oversaw that and assisted at every level of that phase of it, and it's just a wonderful part. And then the last thing I want to hit on is this DAV van. It is incredible how busy that van stays. And once again, Sarah oversees that on a daily basis. And so I go back to my original, and that is that the return on investment, I know she doesn't have the 2024 numbers yet, but 2023, 32.9 million brought into this county. I would challenge anyone to see another business that brings that kind of return on investment. So kudos to you, your staff, and the veteran subcommittee. I know some of you in the back there. I just can't say enough about what you brought and continue to the veterans in this community.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the rest of the board? You said it all.
Yes, you did.
I've been around a long time and it's run the best it's ever run.
One last thing, Mr. Chair, she mentioned it tomorrow is the Veterans Appreciation Event. That's overseen by Sarah. She had us all there yesterday morning working to set up, but once again, like herding cats, but I recommend for all veterans to show up or stop in, and even members of this board, just to see what they provide to veterans in this community. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just one question, Sarah, if you're able to, just out of curiosity. Are there any World War II vets remaining here in Cheboygan?
There's 2 that I know of right now. There might be more that I just don't know of, but there's definitely 2. And they're pretty active. They come to our coffee hour, and we see them usually at least once a month. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you. Let's take a break. 10 minutes pause for the cause.
Catch up with the Zoom.